All right, I hope everyone's joined in. So, hello everyone. I hope you guys are having a nice day today, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. So, my name is Shambhav, and I'm the product marketer at Helpwise. And with me today is Prabhat Mishra, who is the product manager at Helpwise. So, the topic for today's webinar is pretty unique in the sense that we've never done this sort of thing before. And the fact that not a lot of companies show how their own team uses their own product is pretty unique. So today you'll be hearing from one of the members of the Helpwise team and how he uses Helpwise for his needs. So this will give you a great insight into how we think every team should be using Helpwise to get the best out of it. All right, so let's go ahead with the agenda for today's webinar. So first we'll begin with the problems faced by the teams using singular inboxes. Then it'll be followed by an interview of the Helpwise team and how they use Helpwise. Then we'll share some recommendations on setting up inboxes and permissions. And we should be followed by the best practices for rules, CA replies, round robin, and other features of Helpwise. And finally, we'll share some benefits of using these tips for setting up your shared inboxes and other features. And then finally, we'll end the webinar with a short Q&A. So if you have any questions about Helpwise or any of its features, you can leave those questions in the Q&A box down below the video, and we'll circle back to those at the end. And the last thing, we'll be sending out a replay not long after we've finished recording it. So just in case you have to step out or if you missed anything, don't worry, you can hold on to this webinar and watch it as many times as you want. All right, so let's get started with the problems of working with singular inboxes and why customer-centric companies can't substitute shared inboxes with singular inboxes. So by now, I'm guessing that most of you know what a shared inbox is. But for those of you who don't know what they are, let me explain it to you in simple terms. So we'll go case by case. The first case will be explained by me, and the second case will be explained by Prabhat. So let's say there's a company with an email address, help@company.com. And as you can see on my screen, in this funnel, there are emails related to appointments, billing, contracts. All of them are being received in one single inbox, help@company.com. And you could receive various kinds of emails related to their niche, but this brings a lot of problems with it. So I mean, I can only imagine how difficult it must be for the team to sort through every email so that a particular employee can take care of emails that fall under his or her purview or department. And not to forget that it's entirely possible that various employees might end up responding to the wrong email. And it is also possible that sometimes two or more employees might end up responding to the same email, and they could end up responding more than once, and each reply could end up contradicting the other reply. And last but not the least, sure, you could have someone forward each email to the respective departments or employees, but would you really want to hire someone whose sole job is to sort through emails to make sure that emails get delivered on time? Or would you give the login details for the email to each employee? I mean, I can only imagine how big of a security risk that would be. So all of this leads to missing out on important conversations. Now Prabhat will go over the second case. Prabhat, over to you.
Right. So now, what some companies do to tackle these kind of situations is that they create different email inboxes across for their different departments in the company. For example, let's say they have different departments like billing, ad support, logistics, or shipping. Then they can create email addresses like billing at or support at for addressing different queries that belongs to the different departments, right? um, sure, one can make multiple email accounts and give access to these accounts to each team member, but once the teams starts to scale, it becomes difficult to tackle the emails that are coming in and manage all those conversations. And let's say after a couple of successful years, obviously you will need your each team to grow by 10 to 20 more team members. And when then happens, it will become a total chaos, while handling the conversations that comes into, even if you have like different inboxes, right? um, Obviously you would want to have a single repository so that you can let's say easily manage that. But if that happens, then also you will lose on upon the sanity of your inbox, right? So again, again, what we saw in case one, again, that similar scenario will happen. And it will again lead to all the discomfort and confusions, right? So this is why we built up Helpwise, and Helpwise is a shared inbox solution that acts as a single repository of emails for various inboxes. From here, you can assign these emails to as many team members as you want, and you can also collaborate with them internally without having to leave the platform altogether. And ultimately, it will lead to increase in productivity and a better ROI, right? So, unlike any other shared inbox at Helpfest, we also try to focus on the mental health that is associated with the emails, right? So, we know that email is an integral part of business, but along with emails, there comes a stress part, and we totally, focus on these mental health issues that the email inboxes create. So we try to focus on those factors while coming up with new features on Helpwise. So now let's go ahead and hear from one of the team member of Helpwise. Uh, he's Mayank Banga, who is working with the product team at Helpwise, and he'll be showing you around like how he and his team uses Helpwise to basically resolve day-to-day queries and collaborate with the team members. So Mayank, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you use Helpwise?
Sure, Prabhat. And thanks for having me here. Hello, everyone. My name is Mayank Banga, and I am one of the product developers at Helpwise. My day-to-day activity usually includes working on building new features, helping other developers with their queries, and helping our customers with their technical issues. Generally, what happens is most of the developers at other companies focus on one specific area. But at Helpwise, people wear many hats, which means that we are able to handle various tasks along with the customer support. And this is all because of Helpwise. Helpwise makes it insanely easy for me to get ahead all of these conversation and allows me to handle all these tasks in a timely manner. Let me just share some scenarios with you all to discuss in brief about this. Let's just suppose any of the customer support at Helpwise needs help in solving a technical query. Then what they can do is they can simply send an email at dev@helpwise.io with the details of the query they want to get solved. Dev@helpwise.io is the shared inbox, and all the developers at Helpwise have access to this inbox. Then after receiving this email, one of us can simply tag the email under technical queries for future reference. As you might have noticed on the screen, that Curtis has a query related to the engage feature and has emailed at dev@helpwise.io. Then what we do is we internally collaborate using the note feature to resolve this query. And sometimes we connect on a conference call using our just call integration. As in this case, you might notice that Claudia has written a note and suggested to connect on the call using just call. Just call is very helpful for us as its dialer opens up about the Helpwise, which is very useful. This way, we never have to leave the Helpwise platform. Uh, yes, this was the scenario with the customer support team at Helpwise. Now, let us just talk about the technical queries from our customers. All the emails coming into help@helpwise.io inbox, they get automatically assigned to me or some of other technical support team members. And this is all because of rules. Basically, rules can detect what the email is about, and then it automatically tagged under the defined tags and even can assign to the defined person. Let us just take an example to understand this better. Uh, as you can see on the screen that we have a rule set up which is named as a technical customer query, and the rule is set up in such a way that if there is any email which has the word error will be tagged under technical query tag and then gets assigned to me. We not only use these rules to manage these types of conversation, but we also have a feature called auto assign. Auto assign feature helps us in load balancing of emails for all the members of the support team. Now let's just take a different example around this. Let's say we have one customer who is the owner of e-commerce store and he wants to try out Helpwise. And he has emailed us about asking the pricing plans. I even have rules for this, as you can see on the screen. This tags the conversation and assign it to me. Even if the conversation is assigned to me, every person in the support team who has access to this inbox can see these emails. And this feature helps a lot. Now let's just say I am busy at the moment, and one of my team member finds out that it's been 10 minutes since the query came in, but I have not responded to the conversation. So instead of making the user wait for the response, what they can do is they can simply assign the conversation to themselves and respond to that conversation. Now, when the reply goes out, either by me or by my team member, it will end up looking like a normal reply, not just like some ticketed response as you see in other email solutions. Now, let's just consider that if there are new recruits in the team who are learning this process, or we can say learning how to respond to queries, and now if any conversation gets assigned to them, then what they can do is they can simply write their reply as a note and mention me or any other team member asking if their response is okay. Or let's just say they need help regarding any customer query, then also they can write a note and mention me to take help. Then what I can then do is I can type a note suggesting changes or helping them with their query. And then with my help, they can send out the appropriate response to the customer. As you can see on the screen, there is a case where Tushar has mentioned me in a note asking whether his response is okay or not. And then I replied to him that yes, your response is okay and you can send it to the customer. Uh, Notes is not only the feature that we use to train the recruits or internally collaborate, we also have a dedicated knowledge base, or what we call the help center. Help center is very helpful for us in training the new recruits, as they can go to it and quickly search for the resources, or let's just say they can find a step-by-step guide to understand the steps of any feature, or let's just say they can go through it to find some another answers to their queries. Usage of health center is not just limited to this area. This can of course be applied across various departments and not just the customer support teams. And I guess, yes, these were some scenarios which are part of my day-to-day activity. And I hope you guys can find this useful. So Prabhat, I think I have covered most of the daily activities and how Helpwise makes it easy for me and my team to handle these conversations along with our development tasks.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike, for this thorough explanation. And I'm pretty sure that some of our users are already using this notes feature to, train their team members. So, and also I'm sure this is useful for any sort of teams, like whether be there is an HR team or let's say there is, uh, businesses for real estate or something. So any kind of team who are collaborating on email inboxes can make use of such features to, let's say train their team members or, to better organize or collaborate. So that was quite insightful, and I'm sure that our users will, also find it insightful. So, all right. So this is how the teams at Helpwise uses Helpwise in order to achieve maximum productivity and also, scale efficiently. Um, Now, Shamba will go over to some of the best practices for setting up inboxes and, around the user's permission for those inboxes one can set. Shamba, over to you.
Thank you, Prabha. So, the general norm usually is to forward emails or CC them or BCC them when it comes to email collaboration, so that everyone can stay involved and stay updated regarding the email. But this leads to an impossible to follow conversation chain. And email originally wasn't made to be collaborative, but with changing times, the technology needs to change as well, and now more so than ever. Considering the fact that all of us are having to work from our homes because we're living in a pandemic right now, I think it's imperative that we build and implement processes that would help us carry on with our work as usual. And as we've seen during COVID-19, the communication load has increased with impromptu meetings happening every now and then, and just to discuss small things. And this has professionals, scrambling around for the perfect communication solution. But what they don't realize is that the answer has always been there. And I'm talking about emails. So all it needs is a few additional features and the flexibility to integrate whatever the solution you use. So we've managed to build exactly that, the perfect email solution that has the potential to substitute all your other communication tools and allow you to work and collaborate right from within the platform. But with every new solution comes a small learning curve as well. So most of the people realize what a shared inbox is and the general use of it, but most people don't delve into exploring the platform and actually thinking of how shared inboxes can be structured to extract the best out of their subscription. So let's get started with the ways to structure inboxes. Now, there are multiple ways to structure the shared inbox. And as you can see on my screen, I've listed some methods. So the five methods are by department, by employee role, by project, by customer name, and by location. Now, by department is the most popular method of structuring your inbox. So most mid-sized companies with maximum 20 employees per department opt for this method. So each department has their own shared email address, like as you can see on my screen, finance@helpwise.io or marketing@helpwise.io. Then the next method is by employee role. So if you have larger departments or more internal hierarchy, you can simply divide the shared email address into various categories based on the level or the role. For example, for the general queries, you could have dev@helpwise.io, and for SDRs, you could have sales@helpwise.io, which could where they could escalate to account executives. And then for the largest deals, you could have enterprise@helpwise.io. Then the next method is by project. So this is an interesting option. So this is like mostly used by graphic design agencies or marketing agencies who have basically a project-based billing model. So let's say there's a movie studio called Universal or Fox Studios, and they have come to an agency for marketing of their particular movie, let's say Titanic or Batman. So all of the conversation related to that particular movie or project can stay inside that particular email inbox. So in this case, titanic@agency.com or batman@agency.com. So the next method is by customer name. So this is another option that agencies can opt for, and this is usually used by agencies that have smaller projects but long-term contracts with their customers. So you can create an inbox for each customer, like Coca-Cola@agency.com or Nike@agency.com, and then share them with the members of each client's team. And this also helps in showing importance to the client, and also seems very professional. Not to forget that this would help you in keeping all your communication related to one client in one place. And the last method, by location. So this method works for companies who serve to specific locations. It may be globally or locally. And then you could have separate inboxes for each of those locations. Like as you can see on the screen, I've listed a few. So asia@agency.com or USA@agency.com. You could even have London or Los Angeles@agency.com. So structuring your inbox is important, but for that you need to analyze as to how your company currently handles and sorts all emails. And Helpwise is a pretty flexible solution, so you can experiment and maybe come up with your own unique structure that suits your business. So next we'll talk about the best practices for rules, saved replies, and email automation in general. So Prabhat will explain how you can achieve the maximum amount of rules and saved replies. Prabhat, can you go over the following features?
All right. So I think everyone understands how a normal inbox works, and here you have to manually sort all the conversations and forward each email to different team members, right? In Helpwise, we have the power to automate this, and it allows you to automate the email sorting process. And not to forget that once you use this feature, the email assignment task will become a thing of past. So let's take an example over here, and let's say there is a company which is an e-commerce company, and it sells recyclable jeans. So they may have different departments catering to the different aspects of the business. As you can see on the screen, we have customer support department, logistics department, marketing, operations, and then one is the IT. And each department has their own inbox to basically receive the queries related to those departments. So we have support ad for customer, dev ad for IT team, logistics ad for the logistics team, and then operations, and then marketing ad for the operations and marketing. Um, Of course, I didn't mention a few other email IDs like billing at Jeans or inventory at Jeans, uh, which may the team can have, right? So now these days, most companies have like different addresses belonging to the same department. For example, finances at or billing at, can be belonging to the same department, but they have like different addresses so that people can reach out to either one, right? And it will become difficult if you have different inboxes for these two addresses, right? So let's say if any query comes to finances and if the team member is assigned to billing department inbox, then it will become difficult to assign the conversation to them. So in this case, Helpwise provide a awesome solution around this, right? So what you can do is you can create aliases on Helpwise, and you can make the use of it to have one inbox to receive the emails coming to finances at or billing at addresses, and then reply with the right email address, right? So if you can see on my screen, we have this option to set up the aliases under the inbox settings page. Once that is set up and verified, which is 1 minute time setup time, you will start seeing the email addresses while you reply to your conversations from that inbox. So as you can see on the left, I have this drop down and next to the from address, and I can select whether I want to use the billing at address or the finances at address in order to send my email or my reply, right? And also, Helpwise automatically also detects the correct email. So in case if the email comes to billing at, Helpwise will by default reply from billing at email address. And the problem that it will solve is that you'll have one inbox which is serving to these two email addresses, and then you can add all the team members around the billing or the finance team into the one inbox, and it will become way easier to share the conversations or assign the conversations to them, right? Moving ahead, let's talk about one another use case that we have. It is the auto assign use case, right? So now let's take another scenario over here. For example, let's say I have two guys in my billing team who basically looks after the refund queries. So what I can do is once I will start receiving the queries around all the billing related things, then I will just have to go through each of them one by one. And if I encounter anything related to refund, then I can go ahead and refund to assign it to my other team member, right? Now this will be a time taking process, right? It will take certain time to reach till that query, or it will take some time for that query to reach to some person. You can basically make use of our rule section to auto assign this, and reduce the time of taking this conversation to the right person. So what you can do is, if you look at to my screen, we have this rule setup and we have added a filter over here. So what it does is, it will assign the conversations, all the incoming emails, if they have words like refund in its content. And if that happens, it will auto assign to the team member, which is Dennis in this case, who looks after the refunds queries, right? So you can create as many auto assignment rule like these to auto assign the conversations based on certain conditions to the right team member as soon as they arrive in your inbox, and ultimately you can reduce the time to respond to those queries, right? Now moving along, next is the auto assignment feature, uh, save reply feature that we need to talk about. So it is a very exciting feature. In this, what we do is, as the name suggests, it allows you to create templates of your replies. And once you reply to any customer query, then you can use these saved replies to automatically add the content for you, right? So you can create templates, and with the help of few clicks, you can add the content of the message in your reply. So one exciting and hidden feature in this is the variables feature. It allows you to, add variables like recipient first name or the name of the agent who is replying automatically in the content of your message. So you can use this variables, and Helpwise will automatically replace this with the name of the customer you are replying to. right? Next, we'll go ahead and talk about the auto assignment feature, right? So, this is a very exciting feature, and a lot of teams at Helpwise makes use of auto assignment. In this, what happens is, you can set up auto assignment to automatically assign the conversation to different team members, which are there in the inbox. There are two ways that in which you can, auto assign the conversation. One is round robin, and another one is the random method. So if you select the round robin method, then every new incoming email will automatically get distributed to different team members that are there in your inbox. And you can also select those team members. Like, sometimes what happens, you'll have a lot of team members with whom you have shared the inbox, but some of them only, actually participate and reply to the customers. Other maybe are there to, let's say, look after the conversations or see analytics, etc. So you can choose the team members who actively respond. So if you look at to my screen, you will see that, we have Alice, Dennis, John, and Mike, among whom I am, using this auto assignment feature. So it will make sure that, every team member gets equal conversation in their bucket. And again, your customers don't have to wait much in order to get a reply. Next is the reassignment feature. So it is very helpful when you are away. So you can mark yourself away when you are on leave, or let's say there is some holiday, and if one of your customers reply to you and on any conversation which is assigned to you, then in that case, if you have enabled this option, it will automatically assign that conversation to somebody else in your team member, or you can also choose it to automatically unassign. So this will make sure that, if your customers have replied, then it will be attended by any one of the active team member who is online at that time. And your customer will get a prompt reply from your team. So, this will ensure that your customers are not waiting for your reply once you will come back and, write that, right? All right. So I think these are some of the, exciting features that uh, we we also use in our team, and also we recommend other teams to make use of it, because this is something that you can try and use and implement in various different ways to set up your own process as well, and in order to make the best use of different features of Helpwise. Now, Shambhav, can you go ahead and tell us some benefits about using and implementing these tips?
Sure, Prabha. So there are quite a few benefits to structuring the inboxes according to the tips that we mentioned in the previous slides. So the first being, you get more time to spend or focus on important tasks. So obviously professionals, spend 5 hours a day reading, browsing, and sorting through inboxes. And using an automated shared inbox means getting those hours back, and to be more productive, and maybe even work fewer hours, which could help you spend more time with your loved ones. So the next benefit is more transparency. So customer facing roles, people usually spend more time in the weeds with customers, carefully cultivating relationships. And more transparency will help managers to see who is going the extra mile to inform recognition and career progression. And it will also help in checking discrepancies and keeping an oversight on conversations. Then the next benefit is more resources. So context won't be lost in individual inboxes. So everyone can learn from their peers and develop faster as employees and provide a better experience to their clients. And not to forget that Help Center always comes in handy as an internal team database. Then the last benefit being decreased stress. So at Helpwise, we're pretty big on reducing email-related stress, and it is one of our core ideologies behind building any feature or improving Helpwise. And one of our latest features being a testament to that. So Zenbox that we released, it was designed specifically to reduce anxiety. And so if you use Helpwise according to the tips that we mentioned in this webinar, I'm sure it'll help you increasing your productivity and decreasing your stress. So these were the tips and methods we recommend when working with shared inbox. And I hope this webinar has been informative enough for you guys to actively think of how you can improve your inbox structures and rules to extract the maximum potential out of Helpwise and hopefully increase the overall team productivity. Now we'll move ahead with the Q&A session. So the first question is by an anonymous attendee who's asked if we want to use Helpwise for training purposes, like shown in the presentation, can we make it private? I think he means the help center.
Yeah,
Prabha, can
yeah,
you answer that?
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think Mayank has also already answered that question. So I'll just repeat the answer where, yeah, definitely you can, also make the help center private. This will allow you to only share it with the team members who are there in your Helpwise account, and it will not be basically a public, center where anybody can log in and see the docs.
Okay, perfect. I hope that answered your question. The next question comes from Alex, who has asked, can I receive emails from multiple domains in one Helpwise account?
Yeah, sure. You can set up different inboxes for email addresses which belongs to different domains. But you can also have, if you want it to come into one inbox as well, then that can also be set up. And in that case, you can use the alias feature as well. But we'll, surely recommend that, in such scenarios, you will use different inboxes for those cases because, usually uh, email addresses with on different domains will, belong to different companies or something.
Got it. Okay, so the next question is anonymous question by, so it says, what inbox setup would you recommend for a company where we have teams and departments, but tasks can cross over to other departments?
Right, right. So this is again a very good question, and you can surely, move the conversation to a different shared inbox by either forwarding, right? But the other thing that we are coming up with is the option to migrate that conversation, which will allow you to, simply, uh, send the conversation to a different shared inbox in your Helpers inbox, and it will allow you to easily, share the conversation without having to actually forward those.
Perfect. I hope that answered your question. Now, the last question comes from Julie, who has asked, I want my Helpwise chat widget to pop up on specific pages. How can I do that?
All right, so this is an exciting feature, and we recently launched the Helpwise Engage feature, which allows you to, send custom messages to the visitors on your website or to the users that are there on your website. You can surely, filter it out or set conditions to show that message to specific users, or you can, show them to visitors that are coming to any specific page or at a certain time, right? Um, you can definitely find the guides of setting up an engage campaign to send out the messages. But in case if you have any question, you can always reach out to us, and you can also schedule a call with us to, where we will help you with the setup process.
And I mean, of course, we'll be coming out with a webinar specifically for the Engage feature pretty soon. So you can sign up for that. So the last question, I believe, is can we collaborate on drafts to train new employees? Notes doesn't have all the formatting features like emails.
Yeah, so this is also something which is we wanted to come up with as a surprise, but since you have asked about it, so our team has developed this feature already, and they are currently in the testing phase of this feature, which will allow you to share your draft with other team members, and again collaborate on them, or make edits, so that you can manage your train your team members easily on the draft features as well. Yeah, sure, you can definitely make use of it. I think the launch for this feature would be something by next month. So yeah, I'm really excited to see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, and not just to train, but we've been testing this feature internally, and it is a great time saver because you don't need to copy and paste the draft every time and send it to your team member. You can simply share the draft on a click of a button. So I'm sure our
Exactly,
users will love it.
exactly. That's the best benefit of this feature. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. So if you guys need more guidance or tips on how you can set up Helpwise inboxes and rules, You can email us at help@helpwise.io or message us using the live chat. And with this, we wrap up the webinar. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'd like to thank our panelists and our attendees for joining. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Till then, have a good day and stay safe.